First of all, though, not everybody understands fully what CAPS is. Can anybody just give me a quick elevator speech on what CAPS is? Who can give me that? Come on. Somebody can be able to do that for me. Robert.
Okay, the Center for Advanced Professional Studies is a program in the Blue Valley District and in Northland where high school students are able to go off campus for a few hours a day and do professional activities they wouldn't be able to do at their home high school, such as engineering, medicine, teaching, or like robotics. It's just an outlet for other activities that pertain to potential careers that aren't available in high school.
Great explanation. So teaching, robotics, aeronautics. How on earth did you get involved in doing a project about KCI Airport, Caitlin?
Well, we are actually in the medical,
That's fine. Keep
engineering and advanced manufacturing.
Start it again.
Okay.
You start.
So
go from
we are
the beginning.
actually in the engineering and advanced manufacturing strand. And so one of the things at the beginning of the year that we thought would be really cool is to team with the Blue Valley Caps and kind of have a little competition between us to see who could come up with kind of a renovation or a rebuild, you know, and to see the different ideas on that to really get a good sense of what the field would actually look like when you were, you know, like after you get your degree and everything, kind of what the work would be looking like.
How unusual, though, first of all, because you're on Missouri side schools, working in bi-state cooperation there, Michael, with our Kansas side schools. I mean, we hear all the time about the problems of a state line in this community. You're working together on a problem.
So working together on a problem while being over state lines can be challenging. But with the fact that Robbie and I took the reconstruction and they took the rebuild, we were able to work together while at the same time working separately to come up with research to develop our conclusions on what we like to do with the airport.
How much did you know about the airport beforehand, though, Caitlin?
So I really only knew from personal experience flying in and out of it. I didn't know all the details about like all the research we did. So we did a whole bunch of research on like what we did, and we did that in class. And so,
Maddie, it has been in the news, of course, about the concerns that some people have about building a brand new KCI terminal. How involved with you? How much did you know about the issues around a brand new terminal at KCI?
Obviously, you hear about it on the news, but we hadn't really thought about it until we really took on the project. So we specifically looked at how it would be renovated rather than the rebuild. So we know a lot more on that, but we were able to see from the news a lot of it spoken about the rebuild rather than the renovation. So we kind of got to see both sides of it.
So why the focus just on the renovation?
So we split it up because it's so much research that goes into building an airport, because not only do you have to look at public perception, but also all of the technical side of it. So it was easier to split up both sides so we could really get all of the information by sharing it with each other than trying to tackle both of them. Okay,
so you've been studying the renovation of KCI Airport. So tell us about what did you actually learn along the way on this, Robert?
I learned a lot of things, from the technical aspects of like the airport, what goes into building one, what goes into maintenance, the politics of it, but also like the professional skills. We got to go to a variety of places.
You went off to Hawaii to show their airports? Oh, you didn't go that far?
I was actually in Los Angeles last week at an international competition talking about the airport and my public relations campaign for it. But I've also got to go to Chamber of Commerce meetings to kind of hear the prediction for how Kansas City is growing and what we need, as well as area development, which showed very strong interest in, the possibility of growing the airport to suit the needs for our community.
Name one thing that surprised you when you're doing this project that you didn't know before.
From the technical aspect, or
any part of how an airport operates, or the political concerns or the logistical concerns of airports?
Well, one thing that really surprised me was the lack of awareness. I thought people kind of knew what was going on, but I was doing some research on it, and I would go find little sound bites from YouTube about interviews from major news outlets, and there'd be 60 views on it, and it'd be posted for a year. And it was surprising how little people were pursuing information about the airport, because people know they go to the airport and it's convenient for us, but it was hard for me to understand how people weren't interested in trying to find information about how it affects Kansas City in general.
Michael, what was the biggest surprise for you? The thing you didn't know about beforehand that you thought, huh, I didn't know that.
So going along with our research, one of the major topics is if you don't fly, you don't buy. And so this can be said with the building of the new airport. For right now, the airlines are going to be paying for it, which does not cost the taxpayers any money, which is very surprising. And that's something that $1.25 billion is a big number. And to people hearing that, they probably think, oh, my tax money's going to go up. It's going to cost on average about $2.10 extra per ticket for you to fly in the new airport.
Okay, what did you learn, Maddie?
Specifically, we got to look at a lot of the technical sides. So we looked at a lot of comparisons of other airports. So I learned that majority of the revenue that comes in from an airport actually isn't from tickets, but it's from all the other aspects, from the concessions to the car rentals to the retail shops that are now in over 50% of airports around the country. And so that's really where they're gaining more of their revenue rather than from ticket sales, which is something that Kansas City could capitalize on.
Caitlin.
So it really surprised me how much that we are expecting, like how much growth we are expecting, because one of the things we really looked at was how we need to remodel or rebuild the airport to where we can handle our future generations 50 years from now, because this is going to be our airport for the next 50 so years and on that. And so it really surprised me to see like the hard facts, like we need something like 15,000 more parking spaces and just things like that that really show how much how much growth we are expecting in the area. So that was really neat.
So this project you're working on then, you are researching. What is the final outcome of all of this? What do you actually have to show for this? What is the final product?
So we created presentations that displayed our information and the findings that we kind of concluded from our research. And then we presented them to some different companies and businesses around the Kansas City area that have been involved in the process of trying to figure out what they're going to do with the Kansas City airport.
And so what was the reaction to that when you went to say, you went to one of the big engineering firms in town?
They were definitely shocked that some high schoolers had gone into as much depth as we had, but they were also really helpful in giving another outlook on how the airport, from more of a business side that's really pursuing it as means of a project for them.
Okay. What other reactions did you get?
People were very surprised to see there was a lot of misconceptions about the airport, because as a user of the airport living in Kansas City, it's very convenient for us to use it, where you go like from the curb to the gate. They don't take into consideration things like security costs, security in general, and like if you had to change flights, because we don't have, living in Kansas City, you don't have layovers in Kansas City. And so that was very surprising. Like reactions for that, people were we got mixed opinions. Some people were outraged that we were trying to change the airport. Other people were very much so, oh yes, I've been to the airport millions of times. I hate it. It's terrible. So it's a very mixed crowd, which made it very interesting to work on.
I think that one of the really big things that hit some of the places we presented at, and even us, was that we had to create this presentation from like scratch and then build on it, and then we had to present it like as a class. And so really putting that together and actually going and presenting was really cool. It was a really good experience for us, because in engineering and everything, you have to really work on that aspect of things, like pitching your ideas and getting them to go forward. So doing this now, and especially doing it to actual business people, was a really good experience that we had.
The choice the public has to make at this point in time, and voters, possibly in November and possibly even in April, is to decide whether they want to do what you have done in this project, is to renovate the airport, or to build a whole brand new terminal that would cost more money. Some say would be the same amount of money, or could even cost less than renovating. Do you have a better sense of those options today, Robbie?
Absolutely. Going into the project, I figured that it'd be like ridiculous to try to build a new one, and just what we have now is functional and it works for our city. But after doing a little more research, I kind of figured out that it's very hard to change what we have now. It's concrete, it's big, it's an awkward shape. It's not very you can't change it very easily to accommodate different activities or more flights. And so we kind of found a fusion of a rebuild and a remodel was the best option. And we thought that we thought it's an investment and you want to get a new one, I suppose. Because I can't imagine using the same airport 50 years from now, as opposed to if we build a brand new one right now, I see no problem having it in 50, 75 years, being able to update it to keep it up with current technology.
Anybody else on the trade-offs then that the public has to make between the renovation of the airport, which you've looked at, and a brand new terminal?
So we really like a kind of hybrid idea that allows you to utilize what's already there, but in addition, update it and make it so that you can see the benefits from the future. So, utilizing a portion of the terminals for business space and renovating, like Terminal C, for example, so that you can use that for conference rooms, and then utilizing portions of like Terminal B, but then tearing down Terminal A. So you kind of have a mix of utilizing the old, but then bringing in the new, so that we can have an airport that will be available for future generations.
And Caitlin and Maddie, you, because you're seniors, if this vote is in November, will have the opportunity, could be one of your first elections to actually vote.
Yeah, definitely.
You guys at the back, though, living in Kansas won't even have an option because it would only be for Kansas City, Missouri voters. You've been working on a project. Some people feel that they're being disenfranchised. It's a metropolitan-wide asset, but they don't get to vote on it if you don't actually live within the boundaries of Kansas City, Missouri.
So that's one main reason why we wanted to take this as our project, because this isn't just about the people that live on the Missouri side. A majority of the people going to the airport every single day come from the Overland Park and Leawood areas and the Kansas side. So it's not just the people in Missouri that are going to be affected by this new airport.
Was there anybody in your own families who held a different position to you in terms of the findings that you made in terms of the airport than they were holding in your own family and you were helping change their minds?
I think that a lot of the people in our own family and in the community don't see a problem with KCI just because they're looking at it from a citizen perspective and from their usage rate. So from that point, it seems fine. But when you look at it from like a business standpoint, you're seeing that we're losing a lot of potential that we could use from having KCI becoming a hub, like much like Atlanta, for example, because they have all of these things, different shops, different restaurants, different areas where you can have conference rooms. You can fly in, have your meeting, and then fly right back out. And so we're really losing all of that revenue and potential by not doing it, but that's not common to look at if you're just using it for vacation aspect, which most people in Kansas City are.
Robbie, you were changing minds in the small household?
I was trying.
Okay. Anything else that came out of this project that you'd like us to know about?
I was surprised about the really strong public opinion to not change the airport. People are very attached to the way it is now. And I get it, it works really well because you can go in and get through security in under an hour and get to your flight, whereas other places you'd have to get there upwards to 3 hours early just to get through security. But you kind of have to trade off and think about the future and the growth of the city and what comes next.
Anybody else?
I think Caitlin said it, just saying that we need to look at the future and determine what's going to be the best course of action that will be utilized for the next 50 years rather than just focusing on the present.
Caitlin, Maddie, Michael, and Robert, thank you very much for sharing some of your observations with us at KCPT.